Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. Scotty the Trucker, a very scruffy Scotty the Trucker coming to you a little south of Green Bay. I'm going to spend I want to kind of breeze through the update piece. This load is kind of the load from hell, at least in my early career. A lot of hurry up and waits, a lot of confusion, that kind of thing. I'll probably wait till the end of it. This is a 2 delivery load, so I'm going to be sitting most of the day today, and I've got a 12:01 in the morning delivery in Green Bay, so I'm real close. So I got the day to spend at this very nice rest stop. Before I'm done, I'll give you a little panoramic. It's just a rest stop, but it's not a beautiful day, and this one's maintained pretty well. It's a nice little place. But quickly, I was able to get out of Colorado. The last video was me waiting in front of a convenience store. I sat in that parking lot for 24 hours beyond my appointment. No, I won't say that. Beyond when I dropped the trailer the following day. It was a drop and hook that you were supposed to be able to do early. I was able to drop it early, but the trailer that I was supposed to pick up wasn't loaded yet, so had to go find a parking space and wait. And recall, I also deadheaded before that to that location. I deadheaded, it's an empty trailer from Salt Lake City to Colorado, nearly 500 miles, just to sit there for 24 hours. So once I finally got the call that that's ready, ran over, grabbed the trailer, drove 10.5 hours up to Wisconsin, stayed at it was the middle of the night, so I stayed at a way station, and that's one little trucker tip. If you're not a trucker or whatever, is you can almost always find parking at a way station, just because people avoid it. They worry that the policeman's going to run out into the parking lot and nail you just for using the parking that they offer. I've heard that that's not the case. They want you to be rested. They want to offer the parking, and if you utilize that, they're not going to penalize you for it by slapping a inspection on you. I'm sure they can. They're within their rights to do so, but I haven't heard of that happening. So until then, I'm going to use it as an option in the middle of the night, because the truck stops can be a nightmare in the middle of the night, especially for someone who's still trying to dial in their backing a little bit. And that's kind of been the way most of my loads have been. My all plans kind of go out the window with trucking. My plan had always been that whenever I'm able to kind of pick my time of driving, I'd like to, at least in my early weeks, drive like early morning, 12 to 3 a.m., something like that, and be stopping during the day where the truck stops are not quite as busy, where you can breathe and take your time and work on your backing a little bit. Hasn't worked out that way. Almost every time I've stopped, it's been middle of the night, which is sometimes a little rough. So a lot of them have been rest stops, and the one time at the way station, which is why I'm going an extra day without a shower. I can't wait to get to a place to freshen up a little bit. So I do like the rest stops. I actually prefer rest stops, not for the backing reason, but they keep you out of trouble. Truck stops, you always end up spending too much if you're sitting there a while. They're nice for the shower. They're a necessity, but if you're going to be spending the day, I'd rather be at a rest stop than a truck stop, because you always end up eating the wrong stuff and buying stuff you don't need. So trying to stay away from that. All right, so the update is this is a 2-stop delivery. I delivered yesterday evening around 7 p.m. There was some confusion with the paperwork. The shipper had, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but they had mislabeled a few of the pallets that were supposed to go to this place, and so it took a little while to iron that out. And we're not certain. They said that they were right. They only ordered 6 pallets, but there were 7 labeled for them. So the second load, I called claims. They said, let's get to the 90 and figure it out later. But there might be an extra pallet on there, which getting rid of a free pallet, I've heard is quite fun. So I hope this works out. But anyway, trailer. This is the load from hell. At least early in my career. I'm sure it gets worse from here, but this is the worst thing I've come across, and it's mostly just because it's been deadhead miles, waiting forever. Even today, this is a great place, but I'm going to be sitting here for 24 hours because they had to change the delivery dates and everything, and I guess they built in a little extra time because they couldn't get through to the O2, the delivery I just talked about. So they told me just go and, you know, explain to them that sales has been trying to reach them and they couldn't get through. So just go, try to unload, and see if they let you do it or not. And they did. They were immediate. It was quickest unload I've been on in training or in solo. They jumped right on it, which was great. Aside from the confusion at the end, that was not their fault, but that took a little time to kind of get that ironed out when the load was done. All right, but I'll go into a little more detail on that, you know, at the end of the story. After the 90, we'll see how it goes. This episode, I wanted to, I've gotten a lot of comments that they're all varied a little bit, but they all I can kind of put into a neat little package, I think. A lot of people out there seem to be a little bit on the fence of whether you want to come to Prime or you want to become a trucker, with good reason. It's a scary decision to make, and it's one that you can't take lightly. You know, a few of you talk about courage to do this, you know, this kind of thing. I guess so, you know, but it was more desperation than courage, to be honest. I finally realized, you know, after struggling for 10 years, that, you know, it was going to take something drastic to improve. So the choice was, do we keep treading water frantically or do something about it? And so I did. And my choice was trucking. I'm never going to say on this channel, not one time ever, am I going to tell you come to Prime, and I'm not going to tell you become a trucker. What I will constantly say is that trucking is a great option to weigh if you're in that situation. This channel really isn't about becoming a trucker. You'll see a lot because that's what I've chosen to do with my midlife crisis. What you choose to do with yours is your decision. I just hope that if you're in the same situation that I was in, that you make it sooner rather than later, like I did. So, but if you are looking at trucking and thinking of coming to Prime or trucking career, I wanted to I think I can help you a little bit. You know, if you're like me, you watched thousands of hours of YouTube researching, you know, you look at the sites that, you know, show you their pay stubs. You're worried, you know, is it really as much money as they're saying? You know, you hear all the nonsense over lease versus company, you know, that's when the trolls come out. I'm actually hoping I get a few. I enjoy them. It's utter nonsense, the stuff that they come at you with this lease thing. I've got other now friends that are YouTubers, and, you know, I don't dwell on the lease thing because it's just not interesting to me. I'm interested in the places and the job and the lifestyle. Yes, I'm a lease driver, you know, and I'm sure that will bring, you know, a few comments of what a moron. And I'll go into that one time. It's utter nonsense, the crap they come with at you. Now, some companies, I'll agree, there are some lease scams out there. Absolutely. They're not all. Everything Prime promised has been accurate. And a lease is a lease is a lease. You are renting the ability to make money. That's how it works. And if you're coming to Prime, usually because you didn't have enough money to pay for CDL school, you go through Prime, they pay for everything. And you know, you get through to the end, and all they ask is that you work for them for a year. Sounds fair to me. Anyway, that's another episode. But where was I? Okay, all right. So you're doing this massive search. Can I do the job? Is one of your questions. Am I going to make more money than I'm making now? That's another question. And for me, I mean, I couldn't get enough of YouTube because I was scared to death that I'd make this decision and it not work out. You know, I wanted to make sure. And so this is a disclaimer. You know, do your research. I'm not telling you not to research, but I think I can, from my perspective, put it in a nice tidy ball and let you know the answers to those questions and what really is the bottom line. What is the tough part of this job? You know, with no rose-colored glasses. First things first, can you do it? Anybody can do this. Nearly anybody can do this. I'll throw in a nearly just to cover my butt. Trucking is a set of skills that are all learnable, and it doesn't matter gender, race, creed, whatever. Anybody can do this. Anybody can learn. The things that I was worried about in the beginning are not things that I'm worried about now at all. I worried about driving the truck, and to be honestly, I'm more comfortable in that than I am in my own car. If you were to drop me in any city in heavy traffic, I'd rather you drop me in the semi than in my car. People get out of your way. When you turn your blinker on, people actually respond and stop and slow down and let you in and things like that. It's actually kind of a breeze to go through some of these traffic situations that are a nightmare when you're in a car. So driving, simple. I will say the backing is a set of skills that need to be learned, and you get out of training. I think some people are a little better trained than others. I would have liked more training in the alley dock and that sort of thing, but I'm not hitting anything. I'm taking my time and I'm learning, and the last few ones I've done, it's starting to really click. I'm not thinking as much. I'm actually able to look at the back tires and look at the corner of the trailer and feel it where I want it to go. It's becoming kind of an extension of myself, as your car does after after a decade or more driving. You stop thinking so much about what you're doing. It becomes kind of innate. So that's the only thing remaining as far as the driving and trucking that I have a worry about. The driving is pure joy. The romantic part that draws people to trucking is a true thing. It really is. You do see some incredible sights through the windshield, and once I've learned how to Uber it a little better around things, I'll start stopping and smelling the roses a little bit. Right now, I'm just moving. Just trying to get through my first weeks without any disasters. And so far, so good. Anybody can do that. That's the bottom line. Okay. The part that that is a struggle, and I think for most truckers would say is the hardest part of this, really is the time away from home. Now that's where some of the comments I've gotten come in a little bit. I've gotten comments about, just recently someone asked me about the solitude. How do you, they didn't think they could endure this being alone part, and to that one, and everybody's different. Some people can't take solitude. Solitude in and of itself, I'm fine with. Being lonely is not an emotion I can ever remember really having. I am perfectly fine, being by myself in my own thoughts and quiet activities, things like that. However, missing family is it's related, but it's totally different than just being someone that can stand to be alone for long periods of time. The being away from family part is a struggle for me. It still is, and it's, to me, it is the single thing that you really, if you're thinking of coming out trucking, that's the piece you got to grapple with. You're going to be gone up to, and possibly longer, than 2 months. I think most truckers do kind of a month and a half, and then go home for 7 to 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. That seems to be kind of the standard, and that's kind of what I probably will. But certainly during training and TNT, you may not even be guaranteed that. It'll be maybe not quite as much as 2.5 months before I actually get home. I'm going to be heading home in a little less than 2 weeks, and it will have been over 2 months that I've seen it. And you'll always be able to know how far out I am from my last home time, because every time I leave my house, the day before or the day of, I shave my head down to peach fuzz and the beard down to little stubble. And you can say this is the longest my beard has ever been. So it's getting awfully bushy. I can't wait to trim it down. So yeah, long time coming. But that is the piece. Can you do it? Absolutely. Doesn't matter your size, gender, anything. You can do this. It's all learned skills. It is difficult. That's probably a piece I should have thrown in there in the middle. The road to, I'm not talking about the job, I'm talking about the road to get to your career. That can be very challenging. In the best of circumstances, TNT is a challenge. You are living in a box with a stranger, and you are rolling, very little sleep, sleep deprivation. If you get along great with your trainer, that's wonderful. It's still going to be a challenge. Not everybody's that lucky. You have, trainers that, personality conflicts, that kind of thing, it's going to be rough no matter what. It can be somewhat rough or miserable, but that part, it's totally doable. Anybody can do it, but you got to have a little bit of mental fortitude just to put your head down and be determined that you're going to get through it. You know, keep the eyes on the prize, grab the brass ring, that kind of thing. So doable, tough. The tough part now is being away from family. I will say, and honestly, every time I even talk about family on here, I get a little lump in the throat. You know, it's pretty rough. Solitude isn't my issue, but I miss my family dearly. I guess homesickness is different from loneliness, and I do get homesick. You know, and I had another comment from a guy who's, I think, been a trucker for quite a long time. And his was, well, you know, imagine doing it without all the technology, without all the video and, you know, things like that we have now. And I completely get that. You know, that would be rough. You know, back in the days of payphones, and I mean, the separation would have been incredible. I mean, you wouldn't be able to talk every day, that kind of thing. That would be rough. However, it's kind of a double-edged sword, all this technology, at least for me. I will say that, you know, we have video chats every now and again, and for, you know, when you're away from your family for a month and you're talking to them through a video screen, that can hit pretty hard. It does with me. Video is wonderful, but it's also difficult because I'm telling you, you just want to jump in the screen and be there. You know, and it's just really rough. So, you know, I just got off the phone with my daughter. You know. Had a nice little video, and you could hear it in my voice. You know, it's rough. You know, had a really nice conversation, but man, you know, I just want to be there. So get it together, Scotty. All right, but yeah, and I'm totally secure with that. Men cry, and even bigger men tell you that they cry, and I'm not crying, but I've got a little lump in the throat. And I've broken down a couple times, 2 times. One before I ever went to Springfield. I remember it was I was getting ready. I was putting my stuff in my duffel bags, and I had to do a load of laundry. And I remember I was folding my kids' clothes, and it just hit me like a thunderbolt. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're going to leave them for that amount of time over and over again. You know, and I started questioning everything in that moment. You know, the moment passed. But it was really rough, and this is the reality, and that's why I'm telling you this. You know, I could be Mr. Tough Guy, and, you know, I never cry about anything. You know, I'm a tough trucker. You know, nonsense. You know, this is hard. This part is really tough. God, it is awful. The second time was during TNT. I was at, if you've watched them all, there was a truck stop near my trainer's house that I a couple times got to spend a day or two. So I got a truck going by, and on one of those I had a video call, and again, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I couldn't hold it back. I missed them so much, and so it gets rough. I'm telling you this because this is the struggle. Money is not going to be a problem. If you work, you're going to make plenty of money. At probably most trucking companies. You definitely will with Prime. I don't care what the people say. People stay with Prime because you're making money. Certainly already I can tell I'm making quite a bit more than I made in my fairly well-paying job before. So, you know, money's not an issue. Do your research, go ahead and, you know, watch all those videos and everything, but it's all dependent on how hard you work. You know, you stay out there and you work hard and you move, you're going to make money. Bottom line, you can cut that out. Can you do it? Yep. Money there? Yep. Missing family, being alone. Can you do that? That's the piece you got to weigh. And it's rough. And like I said, I'm being completely honest with you. You know, grown-ass man. I consider myself rather tough. I am masculine. But emotion is emotion, and you miss your family. Being separated from those you love and the only people that care about you, you know, it's something to consider. So, like I said, I'll never tell you, come to Prime. I'll never tell you, be a trucker. I will tell you, if you are staring wide-eyed with your head on the pillow every night and dwelling on the 50 things that are just not going well in your life, do something, figure something out. The treading water, the clawing week to week is not going to get you there. You got to make a giant leap in some direction. And what I will say is trucking is a great option. And so far, I will say Prime, if that's your option, Prime is a great option as well. But it's an option. I will not make that decision for anybody, you know. So anyway, I think that'll do it for today. I'll give you a little panoramic of what I'm looking at here. It's going to jostle a little bit. Let me turn this around and flip this up a little bit. You know, standard. Get up from the table here. Standard rest area, but a pretty one, and it's a beautiful day. And yeah, I like to find the quiet. That's in all aspects of my life. I'm always the furthest chair, table, or whatever away from humanity. Plus, I'm not quite used to, I don't know how, oops, sorry guys. I don't know how some people do it. It doesn't come naturally to me to walk around talking to my phone around other people. So I like this wall of trees. That's why I picked this table. So anyway, guys, you guys have a good one. I'll be back with you shortly. Have a wonderful day, and everybody be well. Bye-bye.